Let's look at the elements of distance learning within the Berkeley Unified School District. Any kind of distance learning program will have two styles of content delivery: synchronous learning and asynchronous learning. Synchronous learning is much like the classroom environment, where it's live and simultaneous. The great benefit of synchronous learning is that that's where the human interaction takes place, the human connection. Asynchronous learning is self-paced and utilizes a variety of resources. It also allows for personalization and differentiation. Through asynchronous learning, teachers can push out resources, readings, recommendations of videos, uploaded recordings of their own lectures, and then students can work at their own pace and go through those activities and tasks and submit them in a way that's comfortable for them. They can watch videos repeatedly, they can review and pause, and particularly for students who need extra support, asynchronous learning really provides a lot more opportunity to personalize their education. A good program will definitely involve both. Your program will include both. And just keep in mind that when you're pushing out content, curriculum, that should happen asynchronously. And then the synchronous part is the human part, where you're focusing on the communication and the conversation. There are 4 key elements to the BUSD plan: weekly activity sets, student feedback, office hours, and all of that is logged through the student contact tracker. I'll talk about each of those elements separately. The weekly activity sets will be generated by a team of teacher leaders at your grade level. They'll be delivered to teachers by Friday afternoon. Teachers are encouraged to supplement, edit, change, and build upon the foundation that is provided. The goal of the weekly activity sets is to provide a foundation that teachers can build from. We understand that you're under incredible stress, both dealing with whatever's happening in your own household, as well as your own health, and also trying to learn to navigate through all these tools. Having to come up with assignments for every day, for every class, can be overwhelming. So the goal of the weekly activity set is to take off some of that stress and concern. It gives you something to provide, and then you can supplement and add to it, but you know that there's at least a solid foundation. Dr. Stevens refers to it as the floor, not the ceiling. Please continue to build up from what is provided. It is not a mandated assignment. These are tasks that are shared with students, and again, you can personalize it as you see fit. One of the great ways to personalize it is by incorporating special education support. Special education is a service, not a place, and that service will continue to work for our students. Your special education teachers will provide supplemental support to students on their caseloads. And this may consist of the following. They may be providing specific assignments or tasks or supplements through Google Classroom. Please ensure that special ed teachers and classroom teachers are co-teachers within Google Classroom, or whatever system you're choosing to use to push out assignments. Special ed teachers may also have chats with individual students or small groups. They may be reaching out to parents or guardians through emails or phone calls with ideas for supporting student learning. And they'll definitely be participating in live online instruction through Zoom. Particularly, the special ed teachers can come in as a co-teacher or co-host in a Zoom session with a general ed teacher so that you're working together. Especially as you're learning to roll out Zoom, it's great to have another adult in the room with you. Additionally, they can provide other instructional strategies and resources that will be supportive of the students who are learning in these circumstances. A key part of distance learning is providing feedback to students. We're asking students to do tasks, and when they complete them, they shouldn't feel like they're just sending them out to the void. They'll need some kind of feedback from a teacher. In the past, often that feedback would take the form of grades or points. We're not doing that so much anymore. I'll talk about that in a second. This is your chance to give kids written feedback. So if they submit say some writing, you can make some comments on their Google Doc. if you would normally put a sticker or a stamp on their work, you can send them a picture saying, good job, thanks. Respond to what they do, make sure they know that their work is valued, keep them engaged and involved with their learning. Additionally, teachers should take advantage of those formative assessments that are built into tools like Khan Academy and Freckle. These will help you identify students' growth over time as well as areas of weakness, and then based on that data, you can help kids move toward learning goals during this time. It's an interesting time because we're really focusing on students learning and continuing their educational path as opposed to earning points and grades. Secondary schools are moving to a pass, no pass system. Teachers should communicate to students what factors they'll consider when determining the pass, no pass mark. It may be things like work completion or participation in office hours or simply a demonstration of content knowledge. Please keep in mind that if you are relying upon participation in office hours, that not be the only factor, as some students might find it very hard to match their own schedule with yours. Speaking of office hours, this is your opportunity for live interaction. We're asking for 180 minutes per week, broken up into 2 or more time chunks. It would help families probably if those time chunks are consistent from week to week, but maybe not always at the same time. So maybe it's Monday in the morning and Thursday in the afternoon, depending on, so that kids have different places where it might fit into their schedule. Make sure that the principal, students, and families know when you are available. And again, students are not required to participate, but they're invited to participate, and this is your great chance to be connecting with them. Let's take a look at what those can look like. Your office hours could take the form of a whole class conversation. It could be working in a small group. You might co-host it with another staff member, maybe invite the librarian in and do some book talks with the kids, share some book recommendations. There are lots of co-teachers out there that can come in and work with you. This is a great chance for students to ask questions about the course content. It's a fun place for online group activities. Again, a lot of this is just continuing to build that connection between yourself and your students and between your students themselves. This is a good time to do live readings and having the kids respond to what you're reading, and this is your time to connect. I should point out that most of these office hours would probably be run through Zoom, and there's going to be a separate training that goes deeply into all of the nuts and bolts of Zoom. I strongly encourage you to go through that training before you use it with students. Zoom is a great tool and very complex, and we'll get to that in a separate training. So, when you're doing video conferencing, teachers should not meet privately one-on-one with students. The only staff who should meet privately are ones who normally do that as part of their job. If you're a counselor that meets one-on-one with kids, of course you can continue meeting that way with private meetings. But everyone else should be having public office hours that are open to everyone. And again, inviting a co-teacher into your Zoom session always ensures that there's another adult in the room, which is going to be really helpful as you're learning to navigate all these new tools. And they can also work with your kids separately. There's also breakout rooms. So again, if you're doing a full group event and then you move into a breakout room and you have one adult in each breakout session, there's all sorts of options that you can do within Zoom. And again, we'll train you more on that later. Just start thinking about how you'll use it. I don't recommend that this be an hour of you lecturing at your students, and then if they missed it, that's too bad. We can move away from that model. So the student participation tracker is a log through Illuminate where teachers can record how often students participate. You're looking at how many of the online sessions students come to, and you'll also log if students are participating in the distance learning activities. If you haven't heard from a student, it's the role of the teacher to make that first contact with families. And then if you still haven't heard from families, then the tracker provides a tool for reaching out to asking administrators or perhaps someone from the OFI or a counselor to then make that second attempt at contacting those students. Also, students should be made aware that their participation is recorded and tracked. So parents and guardians are going to be a key educational partner during this period of time. Especially for the little kids, we're really relying on parents to do the signing in and supervising kids online and communicating with the teacher. Also keep in mind that parents are under an incredible amount of stress right now, and they might respond to that stress by being demanding and needing resources for their kid. And so your primary responsibility is to your students. And if you feel that a parent is being overly demanding, please bring that to the attention of your administrator.